All right, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whatever time it is when you hear this message, I pray that you're poised to receive, to accept, and to respond to words of wisdom. Ashe. Today belongs to Orumila. Ekuajuawo. I greet you all on the day of mystery. And I want to share with you a threefold lesson that Ifa gave to us in the process of practicing our daily devotion. The first lesson that Ifa gave us was to get information at the highest level. Ifa says that you should not hesitate to go to the highest level. You should not hesitate to go all the way to the source to get your knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. The second lesson that Ifa gave us today was around the value of information, the value of high quality information in particular, is that Ifa is letting you know you don't operate and exist in a vacuum. You have opposition, you have enemies, you have adversaries, and your adversaries are banking on your ignorance. Your adversaries know that, people used to say, if you want to hide something from a black man, put it in a book. Your enemy knows that they're going to be able to act with impunity. They're going to be able to push you around and move you like a piece on a board game because you don't know. They're going to be able to cheat you out of your change because they know you can't count. And they know you're not going to do what's necessary to get that high quality information. That's the second lesson. The third lesson that Ifa gave us was confess your ignorance. Don't be trying to fake it till you make it. Don't act like you know things that you don't know. When you get to the limits of your understanding, raise your hand and say, I don't know. Enlighten me. Educate me. Okay, those are the three lessons that Ifa gave to us today. And when I reflected on those lessons, I love them because they all, they're very congruent. They all talk about the learning process and the acquisition of information. But as your teacher and as your babalawo, I have to address the things that I know are obstructing your ability to follow up on information that is obvious. Those three lessons aren't rocket science. They don't require a whole bunch of deep thought. You don't have to meditate and, for hours and hours to get the gist of those three lessons. So I'd say, well, what is it that would prevent a person from going to the highest level? What is it that would make a person ignore the fact that they're enemies, right? Knowledge, when you know better, you can do better. Why wouldn't a person act upon that? And why wouldn't a person, confess the part that they don't know in order to learn more? What is it? And so I started to think about the learning process as a child. As a child, I grew up in a house with government cheese and a library full of books. We had a wall, Florida ceiling wall books. We have books in every room in my house. But we were poor. So we were eating government cheese on government bread, sitting on a raggedy couch, watching a broken television that was spewing garbage programming. That was part of my childhood, right? Likewise, as we grew older, right, and we became teenagers, and we get a little money, got a job, what do we want to do? We got $5. We're gonna go to McDonald's. We're gonna buy, a Big Mac meal or whatever they call it, right? We got a little money. We decided we were gonna be grown, and we're gonna drink. We drinking Mad Dog 2020, Night Train, Wild Irish Rose, Old English 800, St. Ides, Cisco, all of it garbage. All of it. From the government cheese to the rock gut liquor. All garbage. All of it. However, the memories of all of me and my little cronies crammed together on that raggedy couch, watching that terrible TV, eating that government cheese on government bread. Oh, that's the memories of our friendship and our camaraderie. That is priceless. Riding in the car with my friends around town, being free and young and trying to talk to girls and going to different cities and all that. Priceless. Absolutely priceless. Right? And what does this have to do with information? Well, it has to do with information because as I grow and I have richer experiences, I have to choose. I have to make the discernment between, well, if I'm not eating what we used to eat and I'm not consuming the kind of entertainment that we used to consume, and I'm not going to the kinds of places that we used to go to, does that mean that I'm condemning where I come from and I'm condemning who I am and I'm condemning the roots and the source of my identity? That's a dilemma that we have. That's a dilemma that we have. And so it's through our maturity that we learn to tease out and kind of extrapolate, right? Extrapolate the love. Extrapolate the friendships. Extrapolate the camaraderie, but leave that content behind. Leave those mindsets behind. You can't take those with you. And you see the dilemma play out in all sectors of African American life. You hear the stories about the athletes. You hear the stories about the entertainers who have more money than they could ever spend. They got access to the best things, but they end up shooting dice behind the liquor store. They end up in the strip club. They end up at the dog fights. They end up at the drag races. They end up in places that they have no business being because they couldn't extrapolate the love from those environments that they had with their friends and their families and project them into the new life. We see it within the practice of Orisha lifestyle. You know you came to Orisha to redeem your soul, to restore your identity. But what do? You bring the most ratchet, ghetto, low-life, tacky mindset, language, decorum, and you project that onto your practice of an ancient and timeless wisdom. Is because you haven't learned to make that distinction, to separate. You don't have to be tacky and ratchet. You should not be tacky and ratchet. That's not why our ancestors sacrificed to keep this tradition alive. That isn't why. That's not part of our identity. That was our condition. That was our condition. Right? Even if you keep eating soul food. Hey, I eat soul food. But instead of putting pork in my collard greens, I put turkey. Instead of cooking with lard, I use, vegetable oil or something. I got organic greens. I'm using, locally grown chicken. Right? I can keep doing, my culture, but I just got to do it at a higher level. I know better, so I do better. It doesn't require, in other words, upgrading my knowledge, upgrading my lifestyle doesn't require that I renounce who I am and where I come from. It means that I have to do things differently. And that is absolutely positively inclusive of my consumption of knowledge and information. I gotta seek high quality knowledge. And I've got to do the things that are necessary. Just like organic produce costs more than non-organic, high quality information, it costs more. It requires more. It's not going to be just plastered on everybody's Facebook wall or on everybody's Instagram. It's just not going to be there. If I really want high quality information, I've got to dig deep. I got to pay dues. I've got to be willing to go through the changes that are necessary to acquire, to digest, to process the best quality information. Okay? And so the thing that stops me from doing that, though, is the fear that I will lose my identity. I will have to cut myself off from my source in order to go to the highest level. And I don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You may have to remove yourself from certain environments, and you may have to stop consuming certain kinds of information and content. Yes, but it does not mean that you have to renounce who you are and where you come from. All right. So this is a really important lesson for the leaders. I'm talking to all of the people who are determined to improve the world through positive influence. If you're one of those folks, I want you to find out how Oloye Obafemi Origunwa and the Orisha Lifestyle Academy can help you take your practice and your life to the highest level possible. Visit me at obafemio.com or orishalifestyle.com, and let's start working together to live the medicine that will heal your life and heal the lives of all of those who you are destined to serve. I look forward to working with you. Bye for now. Odabo.